All right, now what you say? I ain't gonna show your face. What you say you did?
I wasn't in college, but the other dudes were in college, and it was 20 of them in the room, and they were all from the Bahamas, from the same location. And I fucked every last one of them.
You
all
fucked
you saw
20 dudes?
Yes. All you saw
at one time?
Yeah, at one time. I swear to God.
Okay, so did you nut like a lot of time, or like it was?
With 20
I was on my back. I was on my knees. I was standing up, and then I had some sitting down, and I was bouncing my ass like while my back was turned. I rolled, got on top, bounced up and down. It was all the ass smacking around. It was one ugly ass dude that tried to come in, and he thought that he was because he got butt ass naked. And I said, skirt, get out the room. You cannot be in here. No, but everybody else. Cool.
Boy, them niggas might just throw your car while you in it.
New documentary.
And guess what the thing is? My pussy is.
A lot of people got something to say about the fact that I got 6 kids with 6 different men. So I'm just going to tell y'all why it is better to do it this way. If I had 6 kids with all the same dude, I get 34% of his income, which is only $680 a month. If I got 6 kids with 6 different dudes, I get 17% from each one of them, which is $340 a month from each one. $340 a month times 6 baby daddies is $2,040. So why don't you have 6 baby daddies?
I started my day off with some Starbucks. I got the strawberry refresher and a bacon, egg, and cheese Gouda. It's my absolute fave. Then I went grocery shopping. I just grabbed a few things to last like 2 days. I'll probably go grocery shopping again tomorrow. When I got home, I grabbed some wine and I headed over to my workspace. I'm working on this project and it's turning out really, really great. So I'm really excited. My friend came over and we actually switched phones and like matched for each other on BLK. So that was really, really fun. I let my cats in. I love them so much. This one right here is my oldest and that one is my youngest. I then prepped dinner. My man said that he wanted pasta tonight, and while he was at work, I went on a date. The restaurant was really, really nice. Great conversation, and the food was delicious. So I really did have a nice time. When I got back home, I finished up that pasta that I was working on earlier. It was really, really good. And I served it to him for dinner. We watched a movie.
Welcome to another episode of the Jay Lex Podcast. I am your host, Jay to the Lex. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment on the content. I appreciate you rocking with me. You all know where to find it. Today's topic. This one is for the ladies. I know what some of you are thinking. Oh, he's about to simp. He's about to go in and make sure that the ladies feel good. I know there's a lot of division these days. Everybody's out for themselves, which I kind of get. But, especially when it comes to the ladies, you've either got the Kevin Samuels crowd, or you have the opposite crowd who doesn't believe in that, who believes you should cherish a woman, who believes that you should, no matter what, you should be respectful of that woman, and you should be respectful. No matter what happens, you should be a gentleman all the time. I'm going to go at it from a different angle. I'm going to be more in the gray area. Yes, you should always be respectful of a woman. You should open doors, all right? You should, put your jacket down if there's a puddle like they used to do in the movies and the old TV shows, etc. But I'm also a realist. And I know some of you are going to be rubbed the wrong way, men and women. I don't really care. I do not. Here is the reality. For a lot of you women, and you don't understand why men aren't asking you out on dates, why more and more men aren't getting married, they're being irresponsible, yada, yada, yada. Here's the problem. Yes, there are some men who are not into that, and that's okay. But the biggest problem when it comes to the whole dating scene, the whole marriage scene, I shouldn't say the biggest problem. One of the big problems is you, the ladies. Not all of you. This episode is not going to apply to all of you. Not all of you are this doesn't apply to everybody, okay? But if you're one of these ladies who's going to sit here and get offended and get mad at some of the things that I'm saying, I'm probably talking to you. Oh, yes. You see, the great thing about this internet age is that most things are out in the open now. There are very few secrets left, okay? And one of the big reasons that there's very few secrets left is because y'all will sit there and put everything out on social media. What do I mean? You can go and search these things. You can check YouTube, you can check Instagram, you can check Facebook, you can check what other forms of social media, Spotify, everything. Women are out there and they're talking about everything. They're talking about the number of sexual partners they have. They're talking about the number of times they did it in a weird place. They literally put everything. I know some of it is for monetization. I get that. But there are no more secrets. You see, people have been having sex and doing weird things since the beginning of time, since before you and I were born, since before our parents were born, our parents' parents. Okay. But all those things were a secret. You had to read them in a book. You had to interpret it a different way. A lot of you ladies, there'll be an episode for the men too. I'll get at them too. But today it's you ladies. So please sit back, have a get a glass of Cabernet and enjoy the show. As I was saying, all the secrets are out now. Everything that a woman does, the number of partners, etc., etc., etc. But there is a delusion amongst some women who think that despite all the sins that they've committed, that somehow a man is supposed to go and take them and make them his girlfriend/wife. And a lot of you women are extremely attractive. And some of y'all, honestly, are the exact opposite. When Kevin Samuels, rest his soul, was out here doing a show, some of y'all will come onto his show. You wouldn't even do your hair or anything along those lines. You wouldn't even make an effort. But you wanted a high six-figure man who was going to help you in your lifestyle. Never mind children. Well, that's a whole nother conundrum. Just a woman who's in her early to mid 30s, wearing a bonnet, because everybody seems to be wearing a bonnet these days for some odd reason. You would go into that man's show and you would sit there and you would get mad at him for telling you the truth. There have been song after song after song, and I know rappers out here are doing songs where they're disrespecting women. I get that. It is a fair point. But let's not act as if the ladies didn't do it, okay? We could go to Destiny's Child, second album. Okay, at least the singles that came out, Can You Pay My Bills, Independent Woman, or Independent, the ladies are independent, that song, okay, Bugaboo, Erykah Badu's Tyrone, No Scrubs is probably the most famous one that anybody can think of. Those songs came around the time I was in high school, so I'm just using them as a reference. There's other songs out there that are not coming off the top of my head. Those are the ones that I'm thinking about right now. And you know what? That's okay to not want that. That's okay to not want a man who's broke. See, I'm not going to be Kevin Samuels or one of these other guys who are saying you should choose a guy who is average, of average height, of average income, etc. You don't have to do that. I'm not going to be the one to tell you to do that. No. I'm not going to tell you to lower your expectations or lower your standards. But what I am going to tell you is that when things don't work out, because there's only a small percentage of men who make the type of money, who have the type of height, okay, girth, etc., that you're looking for. It's a small percentage. So when you don't find that man, and you're out here alone in these streets, please stop using social media as a means to say how you are ready to be cooperative. Never mind submissive, because that word seems to be a trigger word. No. Some of y'all don't even want to be cooperative with a man. A lot of y'all think I don't need a man. I make my own money, blah, blah, blah. And it's right. And it's a fair point. You do make your own money. You should do what's best for you. You have certain standards, etc. But understand something. I don't want to hear y'all on social media when your beauty has begun to fade. And it will, no matter how much Botox you go and get, no matter how much, how many BBL surgeries you have, no matter how many breast implants you put in, you see them all over social media, okay? Or no matter how much, collagen you inject in your lips, No matter what, you can do everything that you want to. Eventually, the beauty, your currency, that is beauty, is going to fade. And then what do you have? Why would a man of any stature, broke, rich, wealthy, whatever the case might be, why would he want to deal with somebody like you who is ego-driven? And yes, we all have egos to a certain extent. I get it. But why would a man who works hard, and most of these high-earning guys, or gentlemen that y'all seem to be out here chasing, what do you think? They work 40-hour work weeks? These guys are working from morning, basically, early in the morning. I'm not talking about 9 a.m. I'm talking about 5 a.m. You think the people who work in the markets, as an example, get started at 9:30 when the market's open? I know a few of those guys. Those guys are looking at things at 4:30 in the morning before they even get started. Okay? Then they're probably going to see their trainer or training themselves or running or something along those lines just to give themselves a little break. And then they're looking to make deals, basically until quitting time. And this is not like 50 years ago. It's not like yesteryear. Everything's technological. Everything is on your phone. These guys don't take a break. These guys, in some cases, because they're working internationally or doing other things, calling people at different time zones, they're working till midnight. And then they wake up and they do the same shit again the next day, every day. There's no weekends for them. Or they're traveling somewhere, trying to get deals done. I know a guy who used to train. Flew to South Korea to make a deal happen. Had to spend 10 days in a hotel room because that was the when you traveled into the South Korea during like the height of COVID, you had to quarantine in a room for 10 days to get a deal done. Do y'all ladies think, what do you think he just sits in front of a computer and does a Zoom call every day? Do you not understand how this works? If you're going to make the 6, 7, and 8 figures that some of these guys are making, the guys that you want to sleep with and you want to procreate with, you think they have time to deal with some woman with a bad attitude? Some woman who's not going to be cooperative? Some woman who's not going to cook or clean? While he's busting his ass, trying to improve your lifestyle or trying to improve your lifestyle as a couple? You see, I spoke about this in a previous episode. It's episode 3, actually. The 3 S's. What are they? Style, symbolism, and status. Okay? A lot of people want those 3 things in their lives. Great clothing, symbols on the clothing because it shows that you have some level of money, even though we know at the end of the day that's all bullshit because a lot of that is just marketing. So what's the style, symbolism, and status? That people know that you have a certain amount of money. You think that man has the time to be dealing with somebody who's got issues that they're not going to fix? You see, a good man, no matter how much money he's making, wants to help a woman get into a better place mentally. Okay? Most men do. I don't care what their status is. Yes, there's some pieces of shit out there, and most of y'all are attracted to them, but that's a different story for a different time. You think a man has time, is going to put time into a relationship with somebody who's not willing to fix themselves? I hear this all the time from people out here. Well, you just have to accept me as is. Ma'am, I refute that. I don't have the time for it. If people are sitting here chasing money, why am I sitting here having to deal with the stuff that I have to deal with in the world and you not willing to put in the effort to do better for yourself and by extension for us? That is not a financial thing other than having to maybe go see a healthcare professional or a mental health professional, excuse me. But why does a man have time? Why would a man take the time and go out of his way to waste his time on a woman? Why? Because she looks good? So do 10 other women who live in your neighborhood. Ladies often ask, why aren't men doing more? Why men aren't asking me out on dates and blah, blah, blah? Because they don't have the time. Most of y'all don't want a high value man. You just want a man who has money in the bank. Or I should say, you want a man who has the high value status, but you don't want the daily minutia of being a high value man. Most of those high value men work endless hours. They rarely get weekends. More or less, they're traveling. They're doing something. And now that man's going to have to work hard, fund your lifestyle, partially, because most of y'all can work for yourselves. Take on your debt. And you in return are going to have a bad attitude. That guy can go anywhere in the world. In the world. And get himself some without the headache. That's why, ladies, men are not asking you on dates, because they don't want the headache. They don't want to have to play the game. You guys have made it perfectly. Perfectly clear what it is that you're looking for. And so, if there are plenty of men out here, you see the passport bros, guys like that. They want feminine women. And a lot of y'all, and this goes across race, religion, whatever the case might be, are giving off masculine energy. These men are telling you what is it they want. Y'all are asking the question, and then they're telling you, and you're saying you can't do it. Well, I want a woman who's a little more feminine. You know what I'm saying? I want somebody who doesn't talk as much. Remember Cam Newton got into trouble? Or got into some beef because he said, because I'm paraphrasing what he said, but he basically said, look, I want a woman who knows how to keep quiet. I'm a boss bitch, but you don't know how to cook. And a lot of y'all got mad because he said those things, even though he's absolutely right. Why would Cam Newton, he's not playing the NFL right now, but Cam Newton at the time, former league MVP, out there running, getting tackled, doing the whole thing, watching film, etc. Why would he want to come home after a day of getting tackled and hitting the ground, getting back up, running another play, hitting the ground, blah, blah, blah? Why would he want to come home to an argumentative woman? Why would any quote-unquote high-value man want to go home to an argumentative woman? Why would Cam Newton or any other high-value man want to go home to a woman who's going to talk his ear off? And I'm not talking about basic conversations. I'm just talking about talking for no reason. Why would any man, I don't care how rich he is, want to deal with that? Yeah, I don't understand some of the things that men have to go through on a daily basis. I'm not saying your life's not difficult. Everybody has some difficulty in their life on one way or another. Family, business, etc. But a lot of y'all live in a fantasy world where these men just make a bunch of money and have the time to spend with you and talk a lot and do that. Most of these men, excluding athletes and things along those lines, I shouldn't say excluding athletes because they're in boardrooms too, spend most of the day doing what if they're not on the basketball court? For most of these guys, in particular athletes and entertainers, being on the stage or doing whatever realm of entertainment that they're in is an escape from everything else. Having to deal with the media, having to be, watching film and things along those lines, having to do deals. I remember seeing some old clips of Michael Jordan back in the day when he played for the Bulls. Playing on the basketball court for 48 minutes was a safe haven for him. He would have Nike come in, before the games. He's having to check out new shoes. He's having to work on this deal and that deal. Now, I know he had an agent at the time who handled some of it. But if you're about your business, you don't want just somebody else handling it. You want to be in the room making sure things are getting handled properly so that you're not getting screwed. That all weighs on people. It's there all day long. And you think that man who's out there earning hypothetically millions of dollars has time to be sitting here and listening to you complaining about something that is insignificant. These are busy, busy people, high stress jobs, long hours. See, y'all want the fantasy. Y'all want to, some of you, not all of you obviously, but some of you want the fantasy of, oh, my man comes home at 5. He spends time with me and we watch Power. or Ghost. You know, we watch, you know, something else on TV. We watch some reality TV. We watch 90 Day Fiance. Then the weekend comes and we go to the country club. You know, we go to the yacht club. We sit on our boat and we drink Chardonnay outside. It's a warm day out. We're on the Hudson. We're on the Atlantic or wherever it is. We're kicking our feet up. You know, the captain is taking us around. Whirlwind, linen white clothing and sandals. Somebody's serving us, a crustless bread with cucumbers in it. It's a wonderful day. And then back to Monday. He gets up, he works out a little bit, he goes to the office, I go to the office, we come back, we're not tired. Oh, we've got kids in that case, the nanny's taking care of the kids. And you don't understand that this is about reality. That man is up at 4 a.m. checking the markets. That man is up at 5 a.m. taking a conference call with somebody in another country. Good portion, you want to have children and not have to pay significant bills. You think that's going to happen just randomly like that? You don't understand. You don't see the grind every single day unless you live that. You think that man is going to deal with you when he has options and he can go younger? And now you're a 40-some-year-old woman. Like I said before, we're not even talking about children. You're a 40-some-year-old woman who's made some poor decisions in her life, coming in with a bad attitude, and now that man is going to come in and help fund yours. I've seen things on other shows where women come in and they say, I've got 2 kids and I need a man who makes $150,000 a year to help me take care of my children. Excuse you? Are you kidding me? When that man who makes $150K a year has a different network and he's going to choose you. So these people, not in all cases, but in a lot of cases, these men and some women too, to be fair, work hard, leave the poor beginnings that they started in, build themselves up into something, whether they do it independently or whether they do it through a corporation. Build themselves up. You gave him no burn when he was younger and had no money and couldn't afford, $500 wine and all that stuff. You had your fun. You ran out. You did what you did in the different tellies in different states and different countries that nobody knows about. You've developed a terrible attitude because of those decisions that you made. Perhaps you had a couple kids, even if you didn't have children. And now you're 40. So we'll go younger, 35. Out of shape. Because that's a big one. That's another one that people don't like to talk about. Out of shape, you're at best a 4 or 5, even though in your head you think you're an 8. And now that man who has options is going to come back to the neighborhood that he started in. So I see this a lot. Oh, I live in this place and that place. Oh, they need to come back and take care of the black community. I hear that a lot in the black community. I hear it in other communities too, but predominantly in the black community for some reason. And so that man has to go backwards in his life, come back to the block, pluck one of y'all out like you're Cinderella and make you the queen of the ball. Is this what I'm hearing? You have got to be goddamn kidding me. Here's something that you should know about life. For those of you who don't know this already. You rarely ever go backwards. If you got yourself out of a particular situation, and I use the black example because that seems to be the one that's predominant, at least that comes up on my feeds and everything like that. I know there's other ones out there too, but I know plenty of Caucasian people, as an example, or Asian people who came from nothing, who were poor, dirt poor, educated themselves, built something. Those people don't go backwards. Now, they might make a donation here or there. They might, show support to a charity or something along that. But you as an individual do not go backwards. How many of those rich people do you know of who make all that money and go back to living in the poor neighborhood that they grew up in? It doesn't happen. Because what do they know? They know that no matter how much money they pour into that community, the only way that community changes is through policy. So they might get involved in the local elections and things along those lines, but they're not going to move back into those neighborhoods. The whole point of getting that education and making that money was so that you could leave. Come on now, how many of y'all have come from, I don't care if it's rural, urban, suburban, whatever the case might be. How many of y'all came from a poor background, and this goes for anybody, got educated or went into the military or did something with your life, and then went back to the same neighborhood that you grew up in 20 years later? More times than not, that neighborhood is either the same or worse than when you left it. And now, these individuals are supposed to go back and move into these communities that have been hampered by either welfare or poverty or whatever the case might be. It was like that 20 years ago. In some cases, it's gotten worse. And those individuals are supposed to come back and date those same people. It's like, if you've ever gone to if you had a high school reunion, and you had it, and you went back to the area that you grew up in, and you see some of the same people, or even in the same county, whatever the case might be, and you see some of the same people who weren't doing shit then, and they're not doing shit now. Do you not look at them and say, like, what are y'all doing? On the same stoop, talking the same slang, nothing wrong with slang, but you know what I mean. 20 years later, in the same neighborhood, not doing much. And 20 years has gone by. You've elevated yourself to a certain point, and you continue to elevate yourself financially, intellectually, etc. And you sit there, and those people are still the same individuals that you went to school with. They might have been the cool people. They might have been the cool guys. But now they're not doing anything. And you're asking these individuals who have elevated themselves economically, intellectually, etc., to come back and save neighborhoods that they were trying to leave long before? Life is about evolving. Life is about improving yourself. And sometimes, as harsh as it sounds, some people have to be left behind. That is a simple fact. That is reality. Some people are not going to come along on the ride with you. And I'm not saying everybody has to be a billionaire. I'm not saying every guy has to be a billionaire. But if that's not what you want, I'm okay with it. But don't come up on social media and other places complaining about those who have elevated themselves and moved on. Their network has changed. Who they're around has changed. Their interests have changed. Their palette in life has changed. If you love that man or you were interested in that man, you should have stuck with him when the times were rough. Well, I'm allowed to have a pass. I'm allowed to have fun. I didn't say you didn't. But that man also has the right to say, I'm gonna go left here. More times than not, you might be the person that brings him down. Oh, yeah. I know that's harsh. That's a little bit harsh in what I just said right there. But yes, you might be the person who brings him down. You see, you can't have it all. You have to make a decision. There are plenty of good average men out here who you could get with, but you don't want them. So when those average men become above average, because for the most part, their heights, they can't change their height. That's a genetic thing. But when they build themselves up to be something, they don't want you coming around after the fact. You see, it's different when you're there in the beginning and you help to build it. I have no issues with that. I get that argument. But if you wasn't there and you was having your fun with whomever, whenever, however, and now all of a sudden you see, you was with the Ray Rays out there and having fun, and now all of a sudden you see Terrence has built a good business for himself. Terrence lost a couple pounds, blah, blah, blah. And now you want to sit there and holler at him 10 years after the fact, 10 years after your prime. And Terrence looks and says, no, thank you. I'll go get with her, or I'm going to move here, or I'm going to do that. Please. And I know you're not going to listen to me. You're going to sit there and say, well, I can do whatever I want. Okay. But your opinion is irrelevant because you had a chance. And more times than not, you messed it up. And then you think you're going to go to the church. You're going to throw on your Sunday best. And you're going to pray to the Lord. You're going to pray to Jesus or whomever it is that you pray to land you a good man. When you probably, not always the case, but you probably already had one. Keep that in mind when you're out here wondering why men aren't dating, why men aren't marrying. Perhaps it's you. Perhaps you need to make a change. And you know what? You that time might have passed. But for whomever the next person is, look inward before you blame every man that out here that is avoiding you. Look inward. Work on yourself. And then you possibly might land yourself a good man. Thank you for tuning in to the Jay Lex Podcast. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment on the content. Take care.
What's your name?
Anthony.
Anthony. Fuck me. How do you rub the clit? Y'all don't know because y'all white.
That's the clit. Go ahead.
You go 1 and you keep going. Doggy style. I like my ass slapping. My body count 2.
You don't like black guys?
I love black guys. What's up? Let's go after this.
Where we going?
You still recording?
Yeah.
Shut that shit off.
Where we going?
My place.
Where do you live? What do you want to do in your place?
You still recording?
Just tell me my ears. Tell me my ears.
We fucking.
Are we fucking?